Today I'm going to take this jelly bean succulent, which has seen better days, and repot it to make it happier and healthier and a lot more beautiful. This is a jelly bean sedum that about 2 years ago I bought at a moving sale. Someone was moving and they were selling all their plants, and it's one of the many plants that I grabbed. And I really love this plant, not only because sedum is one of the most easy succulents to grow, but it's really easy to propagate. And when it's healthy, this looks really good. I have other babies of this plant. Here's one, for example. This came from this plant, and this one is looking a lot more healthy, and this is what this really should look like. And you can see why it's called a jelly bean sedum. The leaves really do look like little jelly beans. There's a lot of different varieties of them. This one is kind of more red tipped one. When it gets plenty of sunlight, it'll turn this much more rich color. This is like kind of more rich green color. If it's a little bit more dry and stressed out, it becomes more light green with red tips, or it can go really dark green when it doesn't get much light at all. But this one in particular has just really been ignored. It is in a pot with no drainage. I've never taken it out of this pot. This is how it came. It has a few other like ghosties in there. Like I mentioned, I've snipped it or got the leaves to propagate before. And it used to kind of have much more longer branches, but we've had a lot of rain this season. It's got really welled up. I kind of put it out on its side to help drain, but this is just looking really, really bad. So I should know, a lot of times I say that these kind of leggy succulents come from when your plant is not getting enough sunlight. In this case, this was getting plenty of sunlight, but it's just stressed in another way. It was waterlogged. These little stems have a lot of aerial roots looking to like regrow themselves elsewhere. They're just not getting the nutrition that they need from the soil. So I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna pull most of the plant out, snip these really long pieces, and regrow it, and I think it will be much happier, and it will really come back to life. So my first step, remove it from the pot. So this is actually from this same plant. So you can see what a difference in the variety that this plant can look. And this used to have much longer stems of branches, and I think just the weather that we've had, a lot of rain, being in a pot with no drainage, really old soil. I have no idea how old this plant is. It is not making it very happy. So the first thing I'm going to do is all these really long ones, I'm actually going to simply cut these, and I'm going to cut them about this long enough that I can just boop, stick that into the soil. This will grow roots straight out of here, kind of similar to how you see the roots here. And I'm going to do that for all of these really long ones. Well, most of these really long ones. I'm just going to set them aside. I'm also going to remove any flowers. Sedums do flower a lot. They are not monocarpic, so they can produce lots of flowers. On this one, you can actually see some of the roots. That's how the roots come out of these things. Succulents are so resilient that will just boop, pop that right in the soil and it'll start growing. All right, already this looks better. Oops, I missed one. But for the most part, this looks so much better. Now, one thing I should note, all of these, you could save these, they will grow into new plants, right? So see this stem here, see how it just pops out. Here's another example, teeny tiny thing here. These plants just grow out new little babies. They do appreciate a good trim. So in theory, you could do what I call add this to a dead garden. If you have room, you could stick that into the soil and you could grow a whole new plant from it. Right now, I have so many to work with, I'm not gonna bother doing that, but you could do that. I have other videos where I talk about that. Check it out. one of the beauties of this kind of sedum as well is they grow really easily from one leaf. You could take this one leaf, put the leaf itself on soil, it will grow a whole new plant very quickly. So these are really remarkable plants. So now that I've trimmed off all this stuff, I'm just gonna put it in here for now. We'll plant that up later. Just gonna clear my space here. And now this will be the hard part, is I do want to remove this plant from here. Again, I could just leave this as it is. It's all trimmed up, it's looking good. It's not trying to sustain those really long gangly things, but this pot is not good for succulents, as without drainage, their roots really don't like it. Succulents like drainage, sandy soil, they don't like to be sitting in water. So cactus mixed soil is good, that kind of thing. And it doesn't mean that this pot can't be used. What you could do is find a nursery pot that fits inside of it and put your plant in there to make it more of a cache pot, or you could drill a drainage hole. And that is definitely a video I should do, is how to put a drainage hole in your ceramic pots so that you do get drainage. So like I said, I do like the way this plant is looking, so I'm not just going to trim it up. You could just literally trim it all up and lose all the roots, but I think it is kind of nice. So I'm going to try and keep the roots and simply see. Let's see if this will come out. Oh, that's not too hard at all. Let's make this workspace a little bit better. This is a really great tool. This is actually for weeding, but it serves multiple purposes. This being one of them. Wow, there are so many ancient roots in here. No wonder this plant is not very happy. And again, similar, these plants are also the kind of plants, they don't have super sensitive roots. Trimming the roots will actually probably make them a little bit healthier. So there's no worry about damaging the plant from doing that. And I'm also going to remove this ghosty. I'm going to make this a sedum only, and these can be repotted in exactly the same way. All right, so here it is. It's like all roots. There's almost no soil. No wonder it wasn't the happiest plant in the world. I'm going to remove this, and I'm just going to take all these roots out of here. There's some soil in there, but it's mostly roots. Their roots aren't super sensitive, so no worries about just breaking those off. Some plants, you do have to be a lot more careful with their roots. These, not so much. I'm gonna throw those into my mulch pile. They're not really worth hanging on to. This soil is pretty done. You can also see these roots here. That is also how the plant kind of grows itself, expands. This can make a really good ground cover for that reason, that they can stay quite low to the ground and they will expand over and those aerial roots will start to seek out more soil. Here's some other, these were obviously pieces that fell off and rooted themselves. And then in there are the more mature roots that we will hang on to, but all of this stuff can be tossed. Okay, so here is what we're left with among the other longer things, but this plant will be really happy if I find it. Oh, it's really gonna come apart. So here we go. I've got a couple of plants, and I think they'll do really well. I'll plant it together. I'll find a nice pot. You know, this, looking at this could even make a kind of a cool bonsai. So, quite a cool plant. So I have another pot. It's actually quite a bit smaller than the other one, but I did cut away so much of this plant. I don't think it'll matter, and I think it'll fit in just right. And I'm gonna trim it up a little bit more because I really don't need some of those pieces. And I'm just gonna fill this pot. It actually does have drainage. It's built into this kind of cache pot tray. And I have filled it somewhat. We've got some cactus mix already in there. I've got it about, 2/3 of the way up. And I'm just gonna place this in here with other bits and pieces. Now, this is a lot of root for this little thing, so I don't think it needs all of those roots. And here I'm gonna actually trim this one up too. Looking kind of bad. What is it? You can't make an omelet without cracking some eggs first. So I'm just gonna figure out the best placement for these, and some of them maybe won't make it into this pot. Might just be trying to overdo it. Okay, so I have got some organic palm cactus citrus mix that is perfect for succulents, and I am very simply going to just start scooping that in here and arranging it. Trying to avoid having big air holes. So I'm sticking my fingers in, making sure all the roots are covered. There's plenty of places for the existing stems to be touching soil and possibly creating new roots. This is where having succulent tools like this comes really in handy. For brushing off the soil, you can use a little air blower. So, okay, doesn't look great. This is not happening to me. I'm gonna get rid of that. Everything else looks okay, but I do want to fill in these voids. So here it is so far. The soil is all filled in. I don't think there's any bubbles or air pockets, but there are several places where there's plain soil. So this is where our other stems come in, and I'm just gonna stick them in there. So with a lot of plants, or if you're in very wet conditions, you will want to wait for these to callus off. In this case, this already has roots, it's calloused. But for example, the ones that we cut earlier, this is not calloused over yet, but I'm not gonna water this. I'm just going to keep it there. If you are in a location where this is where it's very wet or it's gonna be in the rain, you might wanna wait a day or two before you replant those cut stems because they can rot. But in this case, I don't think we're at too high a risk of that. I'm just gonna fill all these back in. And as I'm doing this, I am cutting some. Okay, so I think that's looking significantly better. It's not great, but it's definitely better than what it was. Fill some in over here. And here it is now. So is it perfect? No, but I think it is a vast improvement from what it was before. And these will grow up and out, and they do become a little bit like hanging plants, which I really like about them. They grow quite tall, like as you can see in this other one. And I also now have tons of these to work with, whether I want to put them in my yard or in other succulent arrangements. I have a ton more of these. And if I wanted to, I could even make more with these stems. But this so far I think is much better, and this plant will be so much happier and healthier now that it's been repotted. So that is it. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments below. If there's any other plants you want to see me work with, put it in the comments. I might have it, I might not, we'll see. Don't forget, you can also find me on Instagram and TikTok, and of course, subscribe.